welcome to another episode of the Chaos Chronicles.
Navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess,
Connie?
and hopefully this is the last time of you guys hearing me sounding like crap.
The sickness, man. It's been rough.
Yeah, it hasn't been great.
No, everyone, everywhere, all of Minnesota, we're all just collectively dealing with a cold. It's fun.
Sure.
There's a different F adjectives, but we're on the internet, so.
But welcome to another Who Knows What Wednesday.
That's right. Before we get too deep into things, just a reminder, you can find us at all of our social medias. They are linked below in the description. Highly suggest you check them out, as well as like, following, and subscribing. That way you get notified of all of our content. We have our Who Knows What Wednesday episodes, which Jess has lovingly categorized on YouTube into playlists between true crime, mystery, and spooky ooky. And I don't think there's another class yet.
I don't know, there's a few of them.
There's a few of them. If you need a break from the Who Knows What Wednesdays, we also have our book review Saturdays. Right now, we are in the middle of Eclipse, the third book in the Twilight series. It has been an adventure.
Yeah.
Yep, it is.
We're getting there, though.
We're getting there. We're almost done. Darn it if we don't see things through. But you can check those out as well.
Yes.
Yes. So, trigger warnings.
Trigger warnings for today. This episode talks about topics related to death, disappearance, and distressing circumstances.
All right. As usual, I don't know what the case is, so good start. Good start.
Yeah. So I'm going to apologize in advance for the pronunciation of names and names of the locations. I will do my best.
Yeah, don't come here for phonetics.
No. So Kris Kremers, 21 years old, and Lisanne Froon, 22 years old, were both bright, ambitious young women from Amersfoort, Netherlands.
These names are sounding familiar, but I can't remember why.
We'll find out. Their friendship was built on a shared love for travel, exploration, and cultural immersion. In March 2014, they embarked on what they hoped would be a life-changing journey to Panama. Their primary goal was to volunteer at a local school in Bouquet, a town nestled in the lush highlands of the Cherokee province, known for its stunning landscapes and challenging hiking trails. Their first 2 weeks in Panama were filled with excitement as they explored the vibrant culture and breathtaking scenery. However, their plans took an unexpected turn when they arrived in Bouquet and were informed that their volunteer program would not start immediately. The girls were determined to make the most of their free time and decided to explore the surrounding wilderness. On the morning of April 1st, 2014, Kris and Lisanne set off on a hike along the El Pianista Trail. This route is known for its enchanting cloud forests and panoramic views. Which it does look beautiful.
Panama's beautiful.
I will put one of those pictures on our Instagram, X, Threads. Yes. So go check them out.
There's so many.
So they carried a small backpack with essential supplies, water bottles, snacks, a camera, and their mobile phones. The hike was supposed to be a brief excursion, no longer than a few hours. A local guide later confirmed seeing them on the trail. They were cheerful and enthusiastic as they ventured deeper into the jungle. As the hours passed and the sun began to set, concern grew when the girls failed to return. Their host family in Bouquet became alarmed when their dog Blue, who had accompanied them, returned home alone. The next morning, search parties combed the dense forests and treacherous slopes, but no trace of Kris and Lisanne were found. The days stretched into weeks, and hope began to dwindle. Then a breakthrough occurred. A local woman discovered a blue backpack along a riverbank, eerily untouched by the elements, despite being exposed for weeks. Little odd, right?
Incredibly. Shouldn't happen like that, especially in Panama.
So inside the bag were the woman's phones, 2 bras, $83, sunglasses, Lisanne's passport, a water bottle, and some other personal items. They recovered phones, and it painted a terrifying picture for them. There had been multiple emergency calls made to 112 and 911, which are emergency services, starting just hours after they began their hike. Some calls connected briefly before cutting out, likely due to poor reception. The last known phone activity occurred on April 11th, 10 days after their disappearance. So the phone calls, April 1st, Kris attempted a call at 16:39. I'm using military time for everybody. It just makes things a lot easier. To 112. Lisanne attempted a call at 16:51 to 112. I do want to say, when I say Kris attempted, Lisanne attempted, we just know that their cell phones attempted to call. We don't know if it was one of them attempting to call, someone else attempting to call.
The cell phone numbers.
The cell phone numbers did. On April 2nd, Kris called 112 at 08:14. Lisanne called 112 at 06:58, and then 112 and 911 at 10:52. On April 3rd, Kris called 911 at 09:32, and Lisanne's phone was turned off at 07:36. Lisanne's phone battery died on April 4th at 0500. April 11th, Kris's phone turned off at 01:05 with 22% battery left, and it was never turned back on. The most haunting discovery came from their camera. Among the last images taken were bright flashes of the jungle at night, possibly an attempt to signal for help. Other photos showed Lisanne's leg covered in dirt and scratches, suggesting she had sustained injuries. One particularly disturbing image seemed to show Kris with disheveled hair and a frightened expression. Whether this was due to distress or an accidental exposure remains unknown. More unsettling was the gradual depletion of battery life and usage of the phones. At some point, Kris's phone stopped being used entirely, and Lisanne's device was accessed multiple times, often with failed PIN code attempts. This suggests that either Lisanne was attempting to access Kris's phone in a disoriented state, or that someone else had possession of their device. Adding to the growing mystery were the photographs taken on April 8th, 7 days after their disappearance. Over 90 images were captured in the dead of night, showing nothing but jungle, rocks, and some indiscernible objects. Some investigators theorized that the women were trying to illuminate their surroundings, perhaps to find a way out or keep wild animals at bay. Others speculate that someone else had taken their photos, deliberately erasing key images before the camera was recovered. 2 months after their disappearance, authorities found human remains scattered along the riverbank. A boot containing a foot and then a pelvis bone were identified as Lisanne's. Other remains belonging to Kris were later discovered, appearing unnaturally bleached and devoid of soft tissue.
That shouldn't have happened, and that.
Little weird, right?
More than a little.
Raise some red flags for y'all.
1 or 3.
1 or 3 or 5 or 10.
All of them.
Forensic experts ruled out violent trauma, but the condition of the bones raised some questions. Some believe that they had succumbed to a tragic accident. Perhaps one of them fell and the other refused to leave them behind. Others speculate that there was foul play involved, though no definitive evidence has ever surfaced. So, we have a lot of theories.
I'm sure, because some of these things don't add up.
No, there are a lot of theories, and even more than I wrote down. So, one of the most widely accepted explanations is that the girls got lost after straying off the trail and succumbed to the harsh jungle environment. With limited supplies, they may have struggled to find food and water, leading to exhaustion and eventual death. The nighttime photographs may have been their desperate attempts to signal rescuers or navigate in the dark. Another theory suggests that the women encountered foul play. Some speculate that they may have met someone on the trail who led them astray, either intentionally or by accident, and that their disappearance was covered up. Locals have reported instances of crime in the area, leading some to suspect that Kris and Lisanne may have been victims of an attack. Another theory is that the young women were stalked or followed and eventually taken by someone who tampered with their phones and camera. The unusual phone activity, incorrect PIN entries, and methodical erasing of some images suggest that someone else may have handled their belongings after their disappearance. A lesser discussed but interesting theory is that the girls may have encountered an environmental hazard, such as a sudden river surge or exposure to toxic plants, which incapacitated them. Despite extensive investigations, none of these theories have been definitively proven, and we have no idea what happened.
So, just making sure I heard, they found Leanne's foot and pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
Soft tissue on the foot or bones?
I don't know. I'm assuming soft tissue, but
I would want to know how that was separated. Like, I don't know. I have questions. Obviously. It just feels...
this was just, it's an odd disappearance. And then all of a sudden, like, their bones are found, like, unnaturally bleached.
The backpack was found like it hadn't been exposed.
Well, and also, why are there... the biggest red flag for me was that there were 2 bras in the bag.
Yeah.
Girls aren't going to take their bras off on a hike.
No. Like, the only reason I could think of, if we were in a situation where I'd be like, yo, you and I are hiking, and I'm like, I need our bras real quick, that's going to be for some emergency type MacGyver-esque do hickam-a-jig.
Yep.
Like, that's going to be life or death.
Yeah.
Not because, free the chest is wrong, but just because, like, you don't comfort hiking public. Most people aren't just taking those off.
No. It was one of those weird things where I was like, I don't know.
It does seem weird because if they're hiking, I don't care how small chested you are, you still have some type of bra.
Yeah.
And you're probably not bringing a backup bra. Like, you wear a sports bra and then you bring your backup regular bra. No.
Not generally. And also, like, I'm a hiker. I like going hiking. If I'm taking anything off, it's going to be my shirt and I have a sports bra underneath.
Yeah.
Like I would take my shirt off well before I took my bra off.
Again, bra is one where that's just something that stays on.
Yeah, it was just odd.
It feels weird that, there were so many misentered pins.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm thinking in an emergency situation, I would be like, because I don't remember your pin, even though I know it, and you know mine.
Mm-hmm.
We
But
forget. But in that situation, it would 100% be like, all right, we need to know each other's pins. And I'd almost like swap phones, like take turns and be like, okay, now it's time for me to call 911, but I'm going to use your phone so I know your pin. Like that would be just like a straight basic survival thing.
I remember reading another theory about, and this was on Reddit. I made my way to a Reddit post somehow while doing this.
Sometimes you find gold, sometimes it ain't.
Someone was arguing on Reddit that the pin entries could have been if one of them was bleeding or it was raining and you're trying to put in your code. But you know when, like, I don't know, your hands are wet and you try to put in your code and it doesn't always work?
Yeah.
Could have been something along those lines.
Could have. I don't know. I think...
Or heck, I put my own password in wrong all the time.
Oh, I definitely do. But I'm just thinking in an emergency, because like, other than having Face ID, which I have a love-hate relationship with.
And we did not have it back in 2014.
Not in 2014, so it was pins. And I've had both Android and iPhones.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done pattern pins, I've done number pins, I've done password pins, I've done all the pins.
Yep.
When I really need to get into my phone and it's time sensitive, I have been meticulous about putting that pin in because I get so frustrated at myself of like, so like in this situation, unless they're like hit and dazed and confused, I could see maybe like if it was one of the pattern ones and like not strong enough 100%. But the bras, the bleached bones, it just feels
weird.
Like on its own, the fact that her foot in the boot was found, and then her pelvis and the unnatural, like all of it, it's feeling Dyatlov Pass like.
I know.
It's just feeling weird.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Of those theories, which ones are you leaning towards more?
I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards they got lost or one of them fell off the trail, because I'm sure it can happen. It can happen a lot of places, so I'm just assuming. Obviously, I've never been to Panama. But I think one of them got hurt and then maybe trying to help the other one got hurt.
I can see it starting that way. We're going to put the tinfoil hat on real quick, y'all. So,
aliens? Or
government.
Not quite that far. Oh.
There is so much military stuff going on in Panama, especially with the U.S. military.
I have seen those Morbid Podcast did this episode, or did an episode on this, and they were kind of theorizing that it was not necessarily the government, but locals were behind it.
Yep. So I'm not alone in this. I can see the same thing that's happened to so many people throughout history, where it's essentially wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Where it could have been one of them fell and got hurt. Like that sounds like the most likely start to this scenario. Either they got turned around and then in the process one of them got hurt, or one of them got hurt. They probably got turned around somehow first. Because normally I feel like and again, I'm not a hiker, but the times I have gone exploring and wandering through the woods and stuff with family, I'm very big on like, okay, I recognize that tree. Like I can, kind of work my way back. And I am directionally challenged Jess can vouch. She's been with me on car rides. Oh, I'm so glad that one flew past their radars. We got sleeping dogs.
Ruby doesn't react to that one.
He does.
He's out.
He's great. But it does seem like they must have gotten themselves turned around and then injured. And then I feel like they saw something they weren't supposed to see. Like maybe they saw a drug deal. Maybe they saw some shady something or another. Or it could be as straightforward as they just happened to wander into someone who had less than genuine kindness to offer them.
Yeah.
An opportunist, if you will. Panamanian Ted Bundy.
Ooh.
Panamanian? Is that Panamanian? No, that does not sound right.
That's unfortunate.
It just seems weird, especially with the bleached bones.
And the bag was like just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Bag was untouched.
Also, let's remember 2014. Some people had Nokias still. Some people still do. Not as common. Any of the phones that you would see young adults like this carrying more than likely were not waterproof at all. So now I'm thinking this bag was found by the riverside, untouched, so not carried there by the river. And if the girls had been by the river, 101, follow a river and it will lead you to a town. Like, I don't know. It kind of feels like it was dropped there, maybe in the process of transporting their bodies. I don't know. And it doesn't sound like the whole of either woman was found. Is that right? They only found parts of the body and bones?
I'll double check. So they found 33 bones of both of them. So not all, looks like. Per Reddit, so how accurate you want that to be. Yeah. That's what I can get you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Not all, but some bones were found.
I don't know. This is all just feeling very, very, very fishy.
Mm-hmm.
Very fishy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested to hear your guys' take. Is anyone else feeling like this is a little bit like Dyatlov Pass? Where I feel like we're never going to get answers on this side of the veil.
No, unfortunately, I don't think we will. Which is very unfortunate, especially because this one's recent. I mean, unfortunately, we will never know what happened in Dyatlov Pass, but that also happened in the 50s.
Yeah.
This is recent.
Someone could know. That was only 11 years ago.
Yeah.
No, I think the thing to take away here, not dismissing what these two girls have gone through, what we know or think they have gone through. If you're going to go hiking, always, always, always have supplies with you.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you know your trails.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that if you do get off the trail, circle back.
Make sure where you are going is an actual trail. And if you're not sure, turn around.
Yeah, maybe that's a better... Yeah, Jess is the hiker. She knows.
Yeah. Because there have been times where, and I'm not as good as my husband is about recognizing trails, but there are some times where I'm looking at my husband, I'm like, I don't know if that's the trail. And he's like, oh, yeah, it's right here. I don't know how you're super confident, but it is easy to get turned around. So if you get confused and you're not sure, go back.
Go back. Follow the dog if you have a local dog with you. The fact that the dog got back home.
Yeah, but also they went with the dog. The dog left them and went back home.
Yeah. So maybe stick with the dog.
Yeah. Oh, my thought went like something happened to them. Like maybe they got snatched or something and the dog just went back home.
Yeah. No, I'm thinking there was a separation from the dog.
I mean, granted, it wasn't their dog, but still.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just imagining if it was a situation, again, it's not their dog, but like if something happened to either of us, I don't, Zeus wouldn't leave.
No,
Like he
neither would
wouldn't.
Ruby,
I
but
feel like
also not their dog.
not their dog, but I also feel like if either one of these two pups were to go, like they would be freaking out and trying like to corral somebody back.
Mm-hmm.
So again, not their dog, but
Yeah.
I don't
So
know.
maybe led off the trail is maybe less plausible.
Yeah, unless it was the case of someone who had nefarious purposes and the girls ran into something like you and Mitch did, where it's like, I'm not sure if that's the trail or not. Oh, hey, like, is this the trail? And they're either they don't like tourists and they're like, yeah, it's the trail, and it's not. Or they're a bad person and they have bad intentions towards
Yeah.
them. And it was like, yeah, it's the trail, and then like circles and gets them later. Either way, bad things happened.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish we had more answers on this one.
I know.
Hmm.
I wish we did too. And I know I'm sure families and friends wish that they did too.
Yeah. Well,
It's just a short episode this week, but
yeah,
thought provoking.
very. It'll be interesting if more evidence or testimonies come forward. Because sometimes we've seen cases where 40 years pass before things get solved.
Yeah, right.
So you never know.
Can't lose hope.
Can't lose hope, no. But darn it if you don't have to be patient.
Unfortunately.
Hope and patience.
Yeah. What are you leaning towards? The government thing? Or just like another person thing?
I don't know. They're all just feeling, it really does feel like they got off the trail. I feel like that's like the one thing I'm like, yeah, that feels
Yeah.
legit. Like that's the start of this. And then from there, it's like, well, either they got themselves super turned around, they, again, wrong place, wrong time with something. Maybe they did get trapped by water rising somewhere.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know enough about the Panama wilderness to say what. It would be interesting if we had someone like local from the area to be like, no, like this is this and this is this. Like, I'd want to hear their theories because I'm like, you live here, you've seen enough tourists come through, but like, I don't know, the whole thing's whack. I understand they want to go hiking and all that, but my overcautious butt is like, I want a guide. If I don't know the area, I want a guide.
Yeah, that was one part that was unclear if they had a guide or not.
Oh.
Some sources that I found said they did. Some others said they didn't.
That makes a big difference.
And so I went with didn't because I couldn't find enough that said that they
confirmation.
did.
That's what I would want to know. Because if they had a guide, ooh, this is looking worse. This is looking worse. Best case scenario, the guide lost them and figured they'd turn around and didn't report it. That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Worst case is I'm circling back to Panamanian Ted Bundy or Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, that's unfortunately, who knows, but I don't know. Be cautious when you go somewhere that's not your country, I guess.
I mean, always exercise caution.
Yeah.
Exercise additional caution if you are not familiar with the landscape.
There it is. There we go. Yep, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how I want to word this.
No, I'm following where you're going on this. I'm like, huh. But I'm also thinking of like the caves and stuff in St. Paul, which is our home state, the capital of Minnesota. Those caves.
Don't go. If you come to Minnesota and happen to go in St. Paul, don't go in the caves even if you do find them.
Don't.
Even if someone invites you, don't.
Don't. When my dad was growing up in St. Paul way back when, with love, he's up there. Like those caves killed people, and like one of his good friends, his daughter, 21 or 22, I believe she died in there. Like it's literally just people get turned around. There's CO2. It looks harmless until it's not.
Yeah, no, most of them are now blocked off.
Most, but not all. And some people that have questionable IQs have unblocked them.
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say. So, if you see one, don't go in it.
No. No, 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 no. I don't know. That's where I'm circling back to this. Where, again, if you don't know the area, or even if you think you do, have a guide until like you know. Because if I were to go to the St. Paul Caves, because there are some that do tours where it's been like scoped out.
Well, yeah, but it's not like blocked off or has gates in front of it or
No, it's like vetted and safe.
And there are people there.
And people there. Or I'm like, that's what I'm equating this to, where I'm like, if I was to do this, I would do this version. I wouldn't go off and spelunk, because I'm going to spelunk myself into a grave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every couple of years you'll see on the news like St. Paul Fire had to go and save blah 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 from exploring the St. Paul Caves. Don't be like that person, please.
Don't. Again, we're not saying that's what these girls are doing. This is the part of the episode where, especially on these mysteries that we don't have the answer to, hence why it's a mystery. It's one where it's like, we got to take something from this. We got to take some lesson, because that's ultimately how humanity has continued as long as it has, especially with our collective IQ being probably lower than it should be. It's because we take these stories and we do our best to learn from them.
Yeah.
And some people don't. Some people like to, recreate the same situation and expect different results.
That is the definition of insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of the people that play the, what's the game where you like take a knife and you go between your fingers?
Oh gosh, I don't remember, but I remember people doing that.
Yeah, people do that. And then I've also seen people, like videos of construction workers who do it with nail guns. I saw one video where he missed. That was bad. That was bad. That was bad.
Yikes. Alrighty.
On that note, thank you for joining us this week. If you ever have suggestions for mysteries, curiosities, true crime, or other, we would always always appreciate the recommendation in the comments. Just let us know. Otherwise, we do have an email listed inside of our description to send ideas, questions, comments, or concerns. If you're concerned that we speak poorly of our dogs not being the smartest ones to get a rescue team together, I assure you they don't care. They're fine.
They are fine.
They're fine.
Well, we will see you either on Saturday for our final eclipse episode or next week for who knows what.
Exactly. Thank you for joining us. Adios.
Bye.
Finally.